How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Tap the banner or visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
92% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
92% because of a bike?
Not just bikes. We also make treadmills and rowers.
Oh, let me guess, for elite athletes only, right?
Nope. It doesn't matter if you're an avid exerciser or new to working out. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton bikes, tread, or row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Hey, everybody. It's Jay Scott from The Hook, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. Hope everyone's having a great day. Changing up the format here once again, we are doing a new music spotlight, another episode of the new music spotlight showcase with Pete Biggiani of Kodiak. And would like to welcome in my great friend Chris Ricardo to talk about the band, talk about what we've been hearing through the music of this band before we get into the interview. How are you doing today, Chris?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'm doing good, man. No, that's thanks for having me. This is super sweet. Thanks for turning me on to these guys.
Absolutely. Before we get into Kodiak, would like to start off the show like we do anytime we have a first-time guest, and that is the essence of the show. Just like every great rock song has a hook that sucks you in, every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a band, or performance that hooked them on rock and roll. What hooked you?
Oh man, it was the solo for Heartbreaker and Led Zeppelin. My brother had that 8-track, and he'd play it all the time, and I hated it. Like, dude, turn that crap off. So I took the 8-track and hid it in the linen closet. Like about a week later, I was like, man, I want to hear that again, and took it out. And that guitar solo from Heartbreaker, man, just turned me on the rock and got me playing guitar. And I had to learn that guitar solo.
Well, Jimmy Page influenced a lot of people. What was it about Page's guitar playing?
You know, it was like just that especially that particular solo, it was just the guitar. There was no bass, no drums. It was like, this guy is just playing all by himself. Everybody else stopped, and he's kicking ass. I want to do that. That's freaking awesome, you know?
Yeah.
That was it, man. That was it.
Well, Led Zeppelin's my personal favorite, too, as well. It kind of segues into our discussion about the band Kodiak with their guitar player, Chris Biggiani, brother of Pete, who I interviewed for this episode. So I texted you several weeks ago and was like, dude, you got to check out this band Kodiak. They are like a throwback to the days of melody and harmony. And
yeah, for sure.
Just I was wowed by them because it's been a while since there's been a band, and we're going to be interviewing another band next week that's similar to them, but it's been a while since there's been bands that have come out that have really had the guitar front and center, the melodies, the harmonies and the vocals and the choruses, and I was taken aback because I thought that was gone forever.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm.
What was it about their two songs, the songs Goodbye and Alone, that kind of captured your attention?
Well, I like the way, you know, the guitar starts it out, and then, you know, like maybe after the solo, it'll come back like that riff, and then the riff is prominent at the end again. So it keeps bringing you back to those riffs, you know, and nobody's playing riffs like that anymore. It's like it's just a nice breath of fresh air to hear somebody rocking out on some guitar. And then the solos are awesome, the drums are awesome, the bass is awesome, the vocals are like, whoa. And then the structure of the song as well, you know. So it's got nice bridges, nice breakdowns, and then, you know, guitar solos in them too, and it just all makes sense. It feels good, it flows. Nobody's doing that anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what's missing.
Yeah, there's a lot of great blues-based music out there right now. You talk about the Greta Van Fleets and your Dirty Honeys and all those bands that are coming out, and those are all great bands. But until I heard Kodiak, I was taken aback that, wow, melody and harmonizing the vocals still exists, and people still want to do that. There are a couple other bands.
Choruses.
Yeah, and the big hooks. How about the hooks were
big
just
choruses.
Totally. And the guitar playing is a throwback to the 80s sound. with those guitar players back in the day, like your Eddie Van Halen's, your George Lynch's, your Warren DeMartini's. It's all
I
very.
totally heard some of that in there.
Yeah, totally. And it's fun music too, right? I mean, it's music that makes you feel good, makes you want to,
totally
cruise around with the top down on a sunny day.
That's exactly it, dude. I was listening to it in my car, and I felt like if it wasn't that chilly out, I would have had my window down, my arm out the window, my head bopping.
Totally, yeah. And it's very, like you said, very well written. The arrangement is second to none with these two songs. I first heard the song Alone, which was the last single they just did, and then I went back and listened to Goodbye, which was their first one. Their new album is supposed to be out 2019. We're getting towards the end of the year, maybe early part of 2020. I'm looking forward to them playing out and touring, because I'd love to see them live.
For sure.
There's some.
I tried. I was looking for some other music of theirs, and I couldn't find them. Like, what's going on? So I'm glad they're putting out another album, or a full album soon. And then tour dates would be as amazing as well.
For those of you that don't know, I go to dozens of concerts per year, and 90% of the time, I'm with Chris at the show. We go to a lot of shows together, see a lot of new bands together, so it's pretty cool to see the differences in all of them. And one of the bands, like we are mentioning right now, Kodiak is one that we are looking forward to seeing in the next year or so. Hopefully they do some Chicago dates. But again, it's refreshing to see the new music that's being put out there. There's a lot of the blues-based guitar rock. This is more melody. This is more harmonizing. More of, I don't want to say commercial sound, but more, I would think, radio friendly than some of their contemporaries. Yeah. And I look forward to more material from Kodiak.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that's, coming out, I really like. I call it like riff rock, but some of it might be a little too aggressive for radio, where I think Kodiak could fit right in. It could totally be on the radio, not offend anybody. I think people heard it, they wouldn't be changing the dial. Right.
And in the interview with Pete, I talked about the relationship they have with Carmen Appice, who is a rock and roll veteran all the way back from the days of Cactus and Rod Stewart, and of course King Cobra, Blue Murder, and many other bands as well. And I'm happy to see that a rock and roll veteran is leading a band, is guiding a band the way that he is doing that, and hopefully it bears success, because I think that's so important.
Yeah, and these guys they're young, right?
They are young.
They don't sound it.
How can you not like young kids playing rock music that makes you, like you said, want to have a good time and feel good about yourself?
Yeah, just they jam it, man.
What, in terms of what song, you heard the songs Alone and Goodbye, you mentioned the guitars, you mentioned, the arrangement and the harmonizing. What else about the band, drew your attention?
The drums, for sure. Drums are out front too, almost as much as the guitar. And then the vocalist as well. That guy's got an awesome voice. It's got a little bit of rasp going. And then, when they hit those choruses, all the harmonies come in. So it's a good package, man. I don't think anybody can knock them for what they're doing.
No, I agree 100%. Pete and Chris Biggiani are brothers. They're the guitar player and drummer in the band.
And these guys are from Jersey or something?
Yeah, from New Jersey.
Nice.
What other big band from New Jersey that had big hooks and harmonies? Was there ever a band from New Jersey that did that before? I don't know.
I can't think of any Bon Jovi bands like that.
But you know what, though? In this day and time, we need a band like Kodiak. We need a band that makes us feel good, has the guitar hooks and
a little breath of fresh air.
Exactly. A lot of the blues-based stuff is blues-based, so it's more serious. It can be more aggressive, and I've talked about this on previous episodes. We need a band like that. We need a band that it makes us feel good. That when you turn on the radio or you turn on a Kodiak song, you're going to feel good. You're going to have a good day. You're going to have a smile on your face.
I can't wait for the new stuff and the live stuff for sure.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see these guys live. There's some video out there of them doing a cover of Panama which is
Oh,
awesome.
really?
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, I suggest you do. It's really good. Stays really true to the original. Adds a little bit of their own flair to it, but it sounds kick-ass.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that one out for sure.
Yeah, it's disappointing that right now there's not a lot of new material from them, but it's coming, and that's exciting. I'm looking forward to the new music for Kodiak. Pete was telling me in the interview that they're doing a cover of a King Cobra song on the album, which I'm really looking forward to because they're one of my favorite underrated bands of the 80s, which also happened to feature the drummer Carmen Appice as well. So that's exciting. Once again, a new band to be excited about. Once again, new music out there is great. And if you're one of these people who think new music sucks, you're not listening. You're not listening to the bands that we're listening to, that we're seeing live, because there's a movement going on. Kodiak's part of that movement. Kodiak's going to be here for a while. If you haven't checked them out yet, I suggest you do so, and I promise you, you will dig it.
Yeah, and keep listening to The Hook, and you'll find out more about new music coming out. I mean, it's a good source, man.
Well, thank you very
Good
much,
source of
man.
new stuff.
I appreciate it, man. I'm trying. I love new music. I love promoting the new bands. All we can do is continue and hope that people listen to it.
Yeah, man.
All right, Chris. Well, I appreciate it. We're going to wrap up here. Everybody enjoy the interview with Pete from Kodiak, and we will see you next week on the New Music Spotlight. Thank you. What's up, everybody? This is Jay Scott, and you are listening to The Hook, the ultimate rock community podcast. Hope everyone is having an awesome day. I'd like to welcome in Pete Biggiani, drummer from the band Kodiak from New Jersey. Great things are happening with these guys. They got 2 singles released here in the last couple of months. How you doing today, Pete?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on.
I do appreciate you doing it. Thank you. Just like every new guest we have, we always ask the same question the first time they appear. And that is the essence of the show, what we're all about. Like every rock song has a hook that sucks you in. Every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a band, or performance that hooked them on rock and roll. What hooked you, Pete?
Oh, man. I mean, I've been playing since I was really young. You know, me and Chris, we're brothers, so we've been playing since we were really young. I started playing when I was 2. I think that, like, my dad was a drummer. So when I was really young, I would go into his practice room and I would, go bang on the drums and stuff like that. And that really got me into it. But I think it was like, I saw Kiss as my first concert, and that really drew me in, And then I went to go see Van Halen, and that just blew me away.
Yeah, 2 great bands. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned your dad plays the drums. Was there a drummer that made you want to pick up the instrument? I mean, obviously your father had an influence, but was there a particular drummer?
Yeah, there was a couple. I like, I watched my dad as I was young. And I grew up like, Neil Peart, Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, and then most importantly was my manager, who's the manager of Kodiak now, Carmine Appice. And he played with Rod Stewart and Ozzy and Cactus and Vanilla Fudge. He played with Jeff Beck. He just put out a song yesterday with Brian May, Queen. So, yeah, man, he was a really big inspiration on me. Now he's a great friend. He's a great manager, too.
Absolutely. Great drummer. I was exposed to Carmine back in the 80s with a band called King Cobra.
Yeah, King Cobra. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the video for the song Hunger back in the day on MTV, and I was blown away. And ever since then, I've known about Carmine. I went back and listened to the Rod Stewart stuff, the Cactus stuff. Of course, he said he played with Ozzy. He's done so much. He's a huge influence on a lot of drummers.
Well, if you remember King Cobra, then you remember the song Redline, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we do that live.
No kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know how much insight I can give you, but it's actually on our record. So when we put out the full record, it'll be on the record.
Looking forward to that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, man.
Getting back to your influences. So, Kiss and Van Halen hooked you on rock and roll. You mentioned drummers that made you want to pick up the instrument. Who was it that wanted you to play live, play in front of people? Was it just a natural progression or was there, was it always in you?
I mean, I just think that, like, ever since I was young, me and Chris have been playing out since we were super young. We started playing in bars, doing cover songs when he was about 7. I think he was like he was like 5 and I was 8 when we did the first time that we played out, which was super young. But we were doing like cover stuff. And then from that, you get to crowd cheering and stuff like that. And especially since we're by the Jersey Shore, it's a great scene to play during the summer. And just hearing the crowd response and then people coming up to you after the shows. But I think when you go see a festival performance or even like an arena performance or even a theater performance, it's very special because you see the crowd, you see the energy, and it's just cool to play those kind of gigs. We've played small places and we've played big places, and just that energy that the crowd gives off and the energy that you do when you play with each other on stage, it's really special. And I think that's what we like about it.
How did Kodiak form? Tell us a little bit about the history.
Me and my brother started this about a year and a half ago. But the band has really been together for like 2 years, playing together, practicing. So me and my brother wanted to start a band, and so we started writing songs and stuff like that. And then I actually got called to go out on tour with a band called Last in Line. I don't know if you know who they are.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's Viv from Def Leppard, Vinny from, Black Sabbath and Dio, Andy from The Offspring, and Phil from Ozzy, Phil Susan. I was out there doing that. We were in Queens, New York one night, and I saw this kid sing with another band, and that happened to be Eric. And I was like, what, that kid looks great. He sounds great. And I kind of want to nick him from this band. So, I got his name, I got his number, I guest posted him for another show. We just hit it off, and then he came when I got back to Jersey after the tour. He came to a practice space, and we jammed with me, Chris, and him, and we decided that it worked. And then I knew TJ from around town from playing the vocal band since we were really young, so he was just a good fit for us. And then Carmike got on board, and then we got Warren Wyatt, who's our other manager who lives out in Seattle. And we've been going ever since. So right now, it's coming up to a year with the management and the band being together under this name being together.
Now, did you guys start out just playing tunes, cover tunes, or was it like an immediate, let's write some songs, let's get some material going? How did that process work? Yeah,
I think that, we had songs written. So we had these songs written, and then Carmen came in and put his special touch on them. And then, we did a photo shoot, we practiced a lot. Like, if you see us live, we practice a lot. Then we did some rehearsals in New York and stuff like that. And then our first show, our unofficial first show, was in Texas, which these fans that we've never actually played a show before came out to come and see us play. They drove like 6 hours to come and see us play. And that was really cool. And then we actually did a show in California at an award show called the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame. And that was with like a bunch of people, Mike Portnoy, Rudy Sarzo, Carmine. There was like just a lot of big people in the industry. And that was like kind of our first official show. And then we've been playing shows ever since.
What was that like, playing in front of Mike Portnoy and Rudy Sarzo and others?
It's cool. It's, when you say it, when you do it, it's a different thing from saying it. Right. So like playing in front of Mike and Rudy and stuff like that, it's weird when you think about it. So when you get up there and you play, you're not thinking about it. But when you think about it, like the next day when we're in the hotel getting ready to go to jam, we were like, "Do you realize who we played in front of last night?" You know what I mean? Like just like these guys who are like legendary, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's a great experience. I mean, I've seen those guys in live over the years so many times. I go to, a lot of great shows, and, to have you guys play in front of them in the, infancy of your careers is really cool.
Oh, yeah, man.
So the songs Goodbye, Alone remind me of the era that I grew up in. And what's really cool about those songs is how there's a fresh, modern sound to it. Tell us about...
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, tell us about how those songs were created.
Alone started first. Me and Chris, wrote drums and guitar and, the melody and stuff like that. And then I handed it off to Eric, and he wrote the lyrics, and TJ wrote his bass part. And then I gave it to Carmine, and then Carmine kind of added here and added there, like little think harmonies, whatever. You know what I mean? Like harmonies. We should put an acoustic guitar in the break. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've listened to that, like that break part.
Absolutely.
But there's a layered acoustic in there, which is really cool. And that one came first, and Goodbye came second, which me and Chris had written. And then we rearranged it and, put it together differently. There's different lyrics to it. We had other lyrics, and Eric wrote new ones because he thought it'd be better for this one. So we kind of just like, we pieced it all together, and we took our time with it, and that's how we got those songs together.
Yeah, they both sound great. They really do.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it. I listened to a lot of new rock music, and when I first heard the songs, obviously they weren't released at the same time, but every time you guys release something, I'm like, wow, this sounds just great. This sounds awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, I know there's a new album coming out, 2019. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I can dive into it a little bit. So we're going to put out another single soon, and I'm not sure what we're doing with it. If it's, I know we're going to put out a new single soon. I don't know if it's going to all come out before the end of the year or if it's going to come out in the first of the year. We have it done. We're thinking about adding another song that we have done, or another 2 songs that we have done to it, so it'll make it a nice even number. So right now we're just basically deciding, and across with like touring and stuff like that, we're trying to figure out like what's the best time to release it.
So you're looking at 2020 then, is for like the album to come out?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that you would see an album, like the full album, in 2020.
Okay, all right. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. And then you got a new song coming out too, which is exciting as well.
Yeah, I don't have the release date for it yet, but I know that we talked about that tonight, and it's going to be really cool.
So the new album comes out next year. Tell us about, I know we talked about Goodbye and Alone, but how was that process of recording an album? Let's back up a little bit. Was everything recorded in those sessions with the Goodbye and Alone songs, or was it separate?
Yeah, I mean, going into it, I think Goodbye and Alone were done first, and then we did a couple more. Right? I mean, they were all written like within each other. You know what I mean? They weren't written like one was written like 3 years ago, and then they were all written in the same kind of time period. So it's not like everything is like different. It all sounds like it was supposed to be on the album together. If that makes sense. Yeah,
no, I get it. How is the writing process with you guys? I mean, do you guys all come in with new ideas? Is it a collective effort, or does people bring in stuff separately? How does that work?
So me and Chris, we live together. We have a studio. So what we do is Chris will write, like a riff and a melody, and then he'll come to me with it. We'll sit down and we'll hash it out. And we'll go into the studio, we'll record like a demo version of it, and we'll throw, like a scratch bass on it, and then send it to Eric and send it to TJ. And they all have home studios. So Eric will write, his lyrics to it and send it back. and then Tito ran his bass part for the back, and then I'll group it all together, and then I'll send it to Carmine, and Carmine will take it and take all it's to cut the fat off, as he says. If there's too much of this or too much of that, he'll cut the fat off of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how it works. So it starts with me and Chris, really.
As far as influences in the band, we talked about yours. And like I said earlier in the interview, you can't help but hear those big hooks and those melodies.
Mm-hmm.
What is, some of the band's influences? I know you have your individual influences, but talk more about what the band feels and listens to collectively.
Yes. So the band together as a whole, we're influenced by Van Halen mostly. Everything that Carmine's really done. So anything that Carmine's done, we take from. And Eric really likes Def Leppard, so you can hear that in there. And Guns N' Roses, you could definitely hear that a little bit in there. Everything from kind of the 80s, but you could really hear the Van Halen in there. Because that's what we're most really inspired by. So we take from those three bands, Def Leppard, Van Halen mostly, and Guns N' Roses, and what Carmine's done.
Yeah, it sounds, like I said before, I keep saying it, but it does sound really good. And it's what's a little different about the music, because of the melodies and the hooks, is it's that throwback to when music felt good, right? And you enjoyed to listen. You could open the windows on your car and crank it up, and it sounds great. It's good time music. It's fun music, and that's awesome.
Oh, thank you, man. That means a lot. Thank you.
So the future 2020's approaching us in a couple months. The new album's coming out. What else can you tell us about 2020? I mean, is there plans to get this out on the road and play live and get in front of as many people as possible? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so 2020, you're definitely going to see more music, more video, and then you're going to see us live. I can't say much about it now, but, we're talking, there's a couple ideas being thrown around with different bands that we'll be going out with. And you'll definitely see us around the United States in 2020. 2019 was more getting it started, playing a few shows here and there. But now we're gathering a team together, because, you need a strong team when you're doing this kind of stuff. And we're gathering more of a team together, and then we're going to get out on the road in 2020 and really tour.
You guys are sitting on some really good stuff. And, with the future approaching here, what makes you most excited? What gets you going? Like, what do you feel like? I honestly feel it's about to explode, right? And what gets you excited about that?
I just think that it's cool to see the reactions, I think that especially with our Alone video, we put Alone out and we put Goodbye out. And, with that music video, that music video is growing every single day. We're almost at 33,000 views and it's only been out for 2 months. You know what I mean? And we're just a brand new band. So it's cool to see everything kind of just get a cool reaction to it. People playing us on the radio, people telling us, especially with the Alone song, people telling us that it's getting them through a hard time, or a lady had messaged us on Instagram and told us that, her daughter was, really depressed and stuff like that. And whenever she listens to that song, she sings along, gets really happy and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff really makes our day, when we can kind of make a little bit of a difference, or make someone's day better. So, really, really that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? It's never about money. It's never about fame. It's never about that. It's just, writing music, making ourselves happy, and making other people happy.
And I hear it, like I said before, you hear the hooks, you hear the melodies.
Thank you.
It makes you feel good instantly. It's a throwback to a time when music was fun. And not to say that music stopped being fun, but it just had that feeling to it, right? Like you could hum the melodies, yeah, the hooks, everything.
We're really, we're really nice. like all of us, you know, we all get along, and you know, we're really easy to get along with, and it's just all about having a good time, you know, and you know, it's just about having a good time and forgetting about all the problems that you had during the day. When you listen to our music, it's just to have a great time and take you away from that day. You know, I think that you know, somebody who listens to the song or drive home from work, they don't have to worry about the 9 to 5. You know what I mean? That grind. They just think about the song, think about the rest of the day, and how much good day they're going to have.
And when you talk about being influenced by Van Halen and Def Leppard and Guns N' Roses, you know, you think about the same type of things, right?
Yeah, good time.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good times, and you know, it's really cool to be in this kind of a band. You know what I mean, and make that kind of difference.
Now, you guys are from New Jersey. What's the scene like in New Jersey for a new band like yourselves?
Well, you know, the scene here is kind of, it's more of like an indie rock scene, which is fine and stuff like that. But for us, you know, it's really cool. I mean, we played the Saint and we basically almost sold it out. So it's not like it's like bad here. But you know, what really sucks for bands today is that pay to play stuff, where bands have to pay to open up for a national act. And I just think, I don't think it's the greatest thing in the world. I think that bands should be able to go out and at least make $50 if they're going to play somewhere. You know what I mean? Something. You know, you're providing a service. You're making people buy drinks, food, or something like that, and you're paying to open up for a national. You know what I mean? I understand it's the way it goes, but I don't really believe in that. If that, you know, I don't know if you're the same way, but that's how I feel.
I absolutely agree. I don't think that should be happening at all. And, you know, with a national act, it's go ahead.
It's a big problem here in New Jersey and New York, and I think it's everywhere. You know, some of these bands, not these bands, I should say, but some of the venues, these theaters, will charge $2,000 to open up for a 20-minute set at a place that holds 1,500 people, and that's, I don't know if I could curse on your podcast, but that's kind of bullshit.
That is bullshit.
I don't like that. Yeah. You know, I don't like that. I don't like that because, you know, you're working hard. You know, these guys in these bands, they don't work a regular job. You know, they work part-time job. You know, we're fortunate enough that, you know, we do our own things where we make money and we have time to go out and do stuff. But, you know, some of these guys, they're working at Hot Topic. You know what I mean? And they're not making enough. And they're trying to do their band, and they can't. You know what I mean?
Is that the venue or is that the promoter?
It's you know, it's sometimes it can be the venue, sometimes it can be the promoter. But you know, you're better off going to a VFW hall and throwing your own show or a skate park. You know, when me and Chris were little, we would go to skate parks and throw our own shows. And, you know, and get 100 and something people there. And, you know, my mom would do the door and my dad would do sound and light. You know what I mean? And we would make it this kind of family thing. And that would be the thing. But it's just, you know, this pay to play stuff really, it bugs us, you know, because everywhere it is, I know that, but it's just the amounts of money that people want. Crazy.
That is crazy. You know, I've been developing these conversations and developing the conversation about the importance of new rock music and how classic rock, as we know it, only has a certain amount of shelf life. And the bands that are coming out now and the bands that have been coming out need support from rock fans, from promoters, from venues, from existing musicians, too, as well, who are successful. And when I hear that, I don't know how that feeds into developing a new artist, getting exposure for artists, because if you're bringing in a national act to your venue, they should already have a following where they're going to, you know, pay for themselves or, you know, bring in revenue for whatever.
the thing with that is that, there's some bands that are like that, where they'll have, they'll go, what's the biggest band in New York? Or what's the biggest band in New Jersey? Well, we want them to open up. You know what I mean? Or what's the biggest band in LA? We want them to open up for us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know bands that personally do that, but I've heard of acts that do that. I'm not going to say who, but, that's fine. That's fine. I like that. But when it comes down to being like, well, they're playing a venue tonight, they're a national act, you get 20 minutes on stage, but you could sell these 50 tickets for $25 a head. And then when you get to the venue, if you don't sell them, you can't play. But I want you to settle up with me with that, I don't know if it's like $2,500 or some shit like that, but, it's not cool. You know what I mean? You're basically making them hustle for you while you just sit there and basically wait for the show.
Absolutely. That's ridiculous. I was unaware of that. That's interesting that you bring that up. I go to a lot of shows throughout the year. I go from national acts like Ace Frehley and, Sebastian Bach to newer acts like Tyler Bryant or Temperance Movement. And I always, I love seeing the newer acts come out, and it pains me to hear that there's there's venues and there's promoters that are forcing the hand of these young artists who a lot of them are starving, a lot of them are struggling to get their name out and to get their music out. And it's like they're taking advantage of the opportunity, and they're taking advantage of these artists who are desperate to get noticed. I just don't think that's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, and luckily I have a team behind us, and behind me, being friends with the guys in Last in Line, being, friends with Carmine for a really long time, and stuff like that, for them to go, don't do that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, why are you paying the play? We've never done it, but, like, don't ever do that. That's what they tell you. You're devaluing yourself as an artist.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's totally degrading and devaluing to an artist. So I suggest that if anybody's listening that plays in their own band and they want to get out there, start your own show.
Absolutely.
Go to a VFW hall, go to an Elks Lodge, go wherever you got to go, rent it out yourself, and charge $5 a head, and let people come hear good music. That's how you're going to build this new rock age up, and it's going to happen, and it's already happening.
Do you think that's the biggest hurdle for new acts, is stuff like that? What else do you see? I mean, you are at the front lines now, Pete. I mean, you're a new band.
I just see, I see bands that want to jump out right away and go and tour and huge and successful and stuff like that. And, some of them aren't ready to go, and that's a big problem. But another thing is just pay to play, and with that comes a big thing. And some of these kids, they don't know, and it's really upsetting to see kids go out and spend hard-earned money to go play 20 minutes. It's just that's kind of what I see a lot.
Yeah, that's not helping the new music generation here. That's not helping develop new music and these new acts that need to be out in front of people and become household names. I mean, that's what really it's all about. Yeah. I mean, I've touched on this subject on a few shows that, when these bands are around and they, there's one band that's out on a national tour right now who's not even has an opening band. And I always feel that's not what should be done. That's not helping the legacy of rock and roll by not supporting the new acts. And when you hear venues and promoters doing that, pay to play, I just feel like, where are we gonna? How are we gonna overcome that?
Trust me, people in the industry know. You know what I mean? It's not like they don't know. They know whether bands are, buying. I mean, they call it essentially it's like a buy onto a tour. Some bands can spend a lot of money to get onto a tour. If people want to turn their heads, people know. You know what I mean? That people would know.
Now, as far as having Carmine in your corner, right? I mean, that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
How has helped you guys overcome some of the challenges? And how is he? I mean, you mentioned he gave you some advice on, hey, don't do that. You're devaluing yourself, which I think is awesome because I completely agree with him. But what else? How else has he developed you guys and taught you certain things that maybe you didn't realize starting out?
Just guiding us in the right way. You know, he's great at, you know, he's been doing it a really long time. He has a bunch of hit songs, and, you know, he really shows us what it is to be in a band. You know, every show we have something that we can improve on. So, you know, and he'll, you know, when we're in New York or if he's in town, you know, he'll come see us play. Or like in LA, when we're like in LA, you know, he'll come to the show and watch us and stuff like that. You know, he goes over stage moves with us, you know, having a great stage show. You know, part of our thing is that when you pay for a ticket to come see Kodiak, you're seeing a great show. You know what I mean? You're not just coming to hear a band play. You're coming to see a great show. You're coming to have a good time. You know what I mean? So that's what you're going to walk away with when you come and see us play. And, you know, and that's mostly Carmine, you know, helping us with our stage show, helping us how we present ourselves. And, you know, especially with our music, you know, because music comes first and that's the most important thing.
Like I said before, you mentioned Van Halen, you mentioned Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, you saw Kiss live. I mean, those were all great shows. They put on great performances. I mean, you're not just hearing the music, you're also listening with your eyes. So when you see someone jumping around on stage or getting the crowd going, that's a performance. That's an event. That's an experience.
Yeah, you know, it's, you know, we're trying to add new stuff, you know, we're a growing band, so obviously we're not going to have big explosions.
Oh, yeah, yet, absolutely.
But, you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But, you know, hopefully one day, you know, you'll have a full show and you'll get to see us play and you'll get to see that full experience.
Well, not just, yeah, I'm not just talking about the explosions. I'm just talking about, you know, back in the day, seeing David Lee Roth or Axl Rose or whoever, you know, and you didn't need the explosions to have the experience, right? I mean, just when you lock eyes on someone, or you lock eyes on a band and you can't take your eyes off, you know, a lot of times now you're watching screens because they've got these big screens, but it's still the band up there playing the music. And, you know, when I hear you guys play and I see the videos and I watched the YouTube video of the Panama cover that you guys did, you know, I feel that way about you guys, that, hey, you know, this is a band that's about the songs because the songs are strong, and about the performance and about the crowd just locking eyes on them, and you can't take your eyes off.
Yeah, you know, when we try to make kind of like making a statement when we go out on stage, you know, we try to, you know, if you're not watching, you know, you're definitely going to watch us, you know, like when we get up on stage and people are not sure what to think about us, you know, and then we play, we're like, holy shit, you know what I mean? Like, and you could feel that energy when you get people to say that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, moving forward, right? And having all these things happening. You have the 2 singles, you got the third one coming, you have the album coming out. What are you looking forward to? What is...
I mean, the biggest thing for us is we like to play shows. Like, we like to play a lot of shows. So for us, if we could play every single day of the year and keep it going for 10 years, you know, I'm sure it's like 2 years we'd be like, can we go home now? You know what I mean? But, you know, if we could play every single day, you know what I mean, on stage in front of a bunch of people, we would be very, very happy. And, you know, I think that's going to happen pretty soon.
I just spoke with Nick Reese from Joyous Wolf, who was on our last New Music Spotlight, and he mentioned how they're going to play 132 shows this year. And that's, you know, that's a throwback to what it was back in the day. Bands would constantly play. They'd constantly, you know, be on tours. They would play multiple nights during the week. Is that what you're looking to do too?
Yeah. You know, and you said Joyous Wolf, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, and, you know, they were just like us a year ago, you know, and now they're just getting out on the road doing that. And I think that's how you build your audience, and that's how you do your thing. You know, you can't sit at home and put out great music. You know, you have to put out great music and tour and get in front of people, because if you don't, there's no point in putting up music. I mean, if you want to just for fun, you can. But, if you want to do what we're trying to do, then you definitely have to get out. You have to go tour.
When I think of bands like Joyous Wolf and I think of bands like Dirty Honey, I put you guys in that category. I think you guys are going to be at the forefront of the new wave of rock and roll. There is no doubt in my mind.
Thank you very much.
It is.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, and you know what? And I'm a really big supporter of, I've heard Joyous Wolf, and I think they're great, stuff like that. I'm a really big supporter of Dirty Honey as well. And I believe that, us and, we're friends with the guys at Greta Van Fleet. I think that you'll see bands, hopefully it's us, you know what I mean? I think you'll see Kodiak, Greta Van Fleet, Dirty Honey, Joyous Wolf, and I'm really into the Struts as well. I don't know if you're...
Struts,
you know them,
Struts are great. Absolutely.
Yeah. All of us, I think that's what the new wave of rock and roll is going to be. And I think that in the next, you know what I mean? Things can only last so long, but I think within the next 5 years, you'll see all of us hopefully playing a festival together one day. And I really believe in that. And I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, those are all great bands. There's other ones too. Bishop Gunn is a great band from Mississippi, really soulful blues stuff, which is just awesome. Tyler Bryant from Nashville. You've got some really good stuff going on in the UK as well. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited about the new wave of rock music. I think it's coming, and I think it's up to people to listen. I think that's the other thing too, is I think, I have a 14-year-old son, and I bring him up a lot in previous episodes, but he's a little rocker. He's 14 years old. He plays guitar, and, he's listening with his friends in all these bands. And sometimes I get exposed to new bands from him, which is really cool, because that shows me that the younger generation is starting to pick up on it. And I'm excited about that. And I think you guys should be too. I think it's all coming. And I think all these new bands that are coming out are going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Oh yeah, and the bands that are coming out, they're great. You know what I mean? Their quality. It's not like in the '80s when it was like every band. There was like so many bands that sounded the same. Well, now there's so many bands that sound like the past, but there's not that many of them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, everyone's putting their modern spin on it, and I agree with you about the 80s. Yeah. I've had this conversation before where when you got into the late 80s and the early 90s, it became more about what the bands looked like than what they sounded like. And a lot of these bands were cookie cutter. They looked really pretty with their hair teased up and their clothes and everything. But then when you put the music in the record player or the tape or whatever, it was kind of just like every other band. And I have often said that a lot of these bands in the 80s want to blame the grunge era or whatever for the demise. But in my opinion, it's because of that late 80s era, that early 90s era that was more of a cookie cutter type scene and genre than it kind of was in the early and mid 80s.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally agree with that. I think that, I think what you said was right.
Yeah, and again, I look forward to hearing more music from you guys. I think you guys have a bright future ahead of you. I love the two songs, Alone and Goodbye.
Thank you.
Like I said, the first thing I picked up on right away was the melody and the hook, and I was, like the show, I was hooked on it.
Yeah, and, if you want to, if you go online and you look up Kodiak Redline on YouTube, you could actually find, I know you're a fan of King Cobra, so if you go on YouTube, you can go and find that video actually of us playing that show where I think you saw the Panama song. You saw Panama that we did the live show?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, if you go, there's somebody else filmed that. I don't know who filmed it, but if you look up Kodiak Redline, the chance, you can see from the right side, so from my brother's side, you could see Redline live, so I think you would enjoy that.
Yeah, I definitely am going to check that out. I did not know that was online right now. So being a fan of King Cobra, I will definitely do that today.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So in closing here, what are your final thoughts? I mean, what do you want to express to fans out there about moving forward into 2020 and the future for Kodiak?
Oh, I just think that all of the support that everyone's been giving us is great, and we all are very appreciative of it. And we can't wait to get out on the road and play shows and meet all the fans and take pictures and do all the cool band stuff. I can't wait to we can't wait to get out there and play.
And you got to come to Chicago because.
Oh yeah. For some reason, Chicago, like Michigan and Chicago and like Detroit, they love us out there. So, we definitely got to come over there and play.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that whole Midwest area, I'll even include Minnesota with the Michigans and Chicagos, and then also Cleveland also has, a good, vibrant, base of rock fans. So I think that whole area is a pretty promising area for you guys.
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, Pete, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you doing this.
Thank you for having me on, man.
Yeah, I look forward to all the new music and continued success and keep building on what you're doing. It's been great. I do appreciate it. I look forward to more. Thanks once again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Once again, everybody, Pete Biggiani from the band Kodiak. Give their 2 new songs a listen. You could find it on all social media platforms and where you stream music. Songs Goodbye and Alone. Once again, this is Jay Scott. You're listening to The Hook, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast, and we'll chat again soon. Thank you.
% of households that start the year with Peloton are still active a year later.
92% because of a bike?
Not just bikes. We also make treadmills and rowers.
Oh, let me guess, for elite athletes only, right?
Nope. It doesn't matter if you're an avid exerciser or new to working out. Peloton can help you achieve your fitness goals. 92% stick with it. So can you. Try Peloton bikes, tread or row risk-free with a 30-day home trial. New members only. Not available in remote locations. See additional terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.